Alright, so on to question number 37. And it says, members of the fire department lean a 30-foot ladder against a building. The side of the building is perpendicular to the level of the ground, so that the base of the ladder is 10 feet away from the base of the building. To the nearest foot, how far up the building does the ladder reach? So they're saying we have a 30-foot ladder, that's leaning up some building. It's a straight line. Oops. I'll just extend this a little bit. 30-foot ladder. And it's along the ground, and this is a right angle because it's perpendicular, it says. And it says the ladder is 10 feet away from the ground. 10 feet away from the ground. This isn't really a proportionate drawing, but you'll get the idea. So it's 10 feet away from the ground, and we want to know how high up the building does the ladder reach. So what is this h right here? Okay, so since this is a right triangle, we can just use the Pythagorean theorem, which says that the square of one leg plus the square of the other leg will be equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So we have 10 squared plus h squared will be equal to 30 squared. We can just solve for h. H squared will be equal to 30 squared minus 10 squared. H will be equal to the square root of this value, 30 squared minus 10 squared, and that will be equal to 900 minus 100, which again is equal to h. H is equal to the square root of 800, and that is approximately 28 feet, or 28 units. So that's your answer for question 37. You just use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for the unknown leg of the triangle. Okay, question 38, there's a drawing, so erase that. Question 38 says, a square is circumscribed about a circle of 7-foot radius, as shown below. What is the area of the square in square feet? So it gives us a square, so remember all these sides are equal, and these are all perpendicular angles right here, 90-degree angles. And then there's a circle inscribed in this. Circle inscribed. That's supposed to be a circle. I guess it's a pretty poor circle, but it'll do. And when it means inscribed, it means that the circle touches the square at this point. The circle touches the square at this point, this point, this point, and this point. So the circle will actually touch the square, or the edge of the square at those 4 points. And it says the circle has a radius, or it draws it like this actually. It has a radius of 7. Okay, so what do we know about a circle? Well, in a circle, the radius for right here will be equal to the radius for right here, which will be equal to the radius for here, 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 and every point from the circle going to the edge of this square, if it's a line, it'll be equal to the radius. That's the definition of a circle. So, if we can redraw the radius to go straight down, which will that'll be equal to 7. And now we can see that this radius goes right from the center of the circle down to the bottom of the square. So from right here to here is equal to 7. And since this area is 7 too, or this distance is 7, we could see that this will also be 7, which makes this whole side equal to 14 units. And since that is equal to 14, and this is a square, this side will also be equal to 14. And if we could also just draw this radius out here, that's 7, and that's 7, we can see that this is 14. And now it just wants to know, what is the area of the square? Well, area of a square is equal to one of the sides squared, which is basically equal to one side times the other side. And we can see that 14 times 14 is the area, 14 times 14, which will be equal to 100 and 96 units. And that's the area of the square. You just need to draw the radius out and see that the radius touches the side of the square. Then you can just double that value to find the entire length of the square. And we'll go on to question 39. And just erase this. Question 39. Question 39 says, the ratio of the side lengths for a triangle is exactly 12 to 14 to 15. So this is the ratio of the side lengths for a triangle, 12 to 14 to 15. In a second triangle, similar to the first one, the shortest side is 8 inches long. To the nearest tenth of an inch, what is the length of the longest side of the second triangle? Okay, so our first triangle looks something like this, or we don't really know exactly what it looks like, but we just know the ratio. I'll redraw this to make it a little more accurate. Is 12 to 14 to 15. So that's the ratio, or that's what the first triangle will look. And it says the second triangle has its shortest side is 8 inches long. Shortest side is equal to 8 inches. And it says it's a similar triangle, so we know all the angles will be the same. All the angles will be the same because it's similar. Similar triangles. And we can say that this will be the shortest side, which will be 8 inches long. And since we know the ratio for this one is 12 inches, or 12 to 14 to 15, we know the side with the 12 on it will be the shortest side because it has the lowest ratio. So we could say that this is the side with the 12 part of the ratio, which matches up with this, and then this we could say would be the 14 part of the ratio and the 15. Now these aren't actual units, these are just the ratio of the side lengths to each other. So then this would make this 14, since these are similar triangles, would make this the middle longest, or how am I trying to say this? The middle longish, sure, we'll go with that. And this would make and this 15, since it's the highest number in the ratio, would make this the longest side. And it wants to know what is the length of the longest side in the smaller triangle. So we could just say that this 8 is to this 12. The 8 is to the 12 as the longest side, which we'll call x. The longest side is to this longest side. The shortest side is to the shortest side as the longest side is to the longest side. We can just set up a proportion here because these are similar triangles. This angle is equal to that angle. This angle is equal to this angle. And this angle right here, and draw something like that, is equal to that angle. So because of this, we can do this nice proportion and ratio setup, and now we can just solve for x. Do 8 times 15 equals 12x. X equals 8 times 15 divided by 12, which is equal to 8 times 15 divided by 12. 8 times 15 is 120. Divided by 12 will just be equal to 10 units. And that is the answer. It's choice B. 10 units long. Choice B is the answer. And we could just do this because we knew the ratios and this shortest length. We could just match up the shortest side to the shortest side, the longest side to the longest side, set up this proportion, and solve for x. And I'll see you in the next video.